do. Are we live? Sorta, kinda. There we go. All right. Oh, I forgot there's a delay. There's my kitty. I don't know if you could see him. Anyway, let's light this candle. This is the main event, Mark's Podcast. I am your host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, cat and dog dad, and I am the Iron Mike of podcasting. I am Troy, and with me today is no one. I'm solo dolo today. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? I need to get the link. The link, baby. Oops. For the stream, so I can put it out on the twits, on Twix, on X. That is what I'm doing. But hey, it's been a long time since I posted a new podcast. That's, new stuff, I guess. Crap, went to the wrong area. Anyway, so you're going to hear some troubleshooting here, because this is the first ever live version of the main event, Marks. And I'm solo, so I don't have anybody to bounce off of, unfortunately. I always like the dynamic with Greg and I. That's why every time we added a third, it had to be somebody we were really familiar with, because we tried it with a few different people, and it didn't always go great. And afterwards, Greg would be like, man, they kind of threw off the dynamic between you and I. And he and I got really used to each other. There were a few times where I was like, I don't know if he's gonna, like, if he's pausing for effect, and or if I should speak. There's my kitty boy. What's up? Every time I start talking loudly into the mic to record a video or something, hey, bud. He always wants to come up and say hi. Don't know why. Don't know. But yeah, Greg and I always had that great back and forth. It sucks. It just, because, well, I'm not going to go over it again. I've talked about his passing multiple times on the show, so I'm not going to go over it again. But thanks for everybody who's showing up. We got a lot to talk about today. If anybody read the description, saw the thumbnail, etc., etc., we are talking about the Iron Claw today. The Iron Claw, we're talking about Dark Side of the Ring. We're talking about WWE releases, which, speaking of which, I gotta pull some of that up, you know what I'm saying? Pull up the released names, but we'll go over that later. I wanted to start off talking about, because I wanted to get into the Iron Claw stuff once things kind of get going, and, we got more people rolling in, hopefully. So, yeah, we're going to get into Dark Side of the Ring, because I just got back into... I heard somebody mentioned the Iron Claw recently, and I'm like, you know what? I keep putting it off. I've been really wanting to see it. I'm just in the mood. I'll watch the Iron Claw, finally. It's on Max. I have a Max subscription, so I finally sat down and I watched it. And then after I was done with it, I'm like, I've also been putting off Dark Side of the Ring. So I found a way to watch Dark Side of the Ring. It's on, like, Vice TV or whatever the hell. And I found a way to watch it. I watched seasons 1 through 3 all the way through. Loved the show. And then by the time season 4 rolled around, I was like, for some reason, I just never tuned in. Not that I was disinterested, I don't know. It's one of them where I kind of fell off for no discernible reason. But anyway, so I did all that, and I've been trying to catch up. Season 4, right? That is what I'm on. Sorry, I gotta go back and look now. Oh God, I closed it. Things are going swimmingly, because I had like a half-watched episode up. But yeah, season 4, I'm pretty sure is what I'm on. Season 5. Okay, so I watched seasons 1 through 4 all the way through, and I'm on season 5 now. Episode 8 is what I'm on. It's on Sensational Sherry. Some of the episodes in season 5 do belong in there. Like the very last episode I watched was on Chris Adams, Gentleman Chris Adams. He genuinely had an effed up story. He was an effed up guy, and you can believe the different things there. I'm not going to ruin everything for everybody here, but yeah, that episode. If you don't know, I get to dance around certain subjects because this is live streaming on YouTube. I don't want to be kicked off and all that, so I'll just say he got a hole put in him involuntarily during a struggle with somebody. Apparently, he was intoxicated, and according to the court records or whatever, he attacked this guy for telling him basically, keep it down. My mom's trying to sleep, and you're partying too hard. And he just attacked the guy that he was living with and, like, messed him up pretty bad. And he was, like, biting him and gouging his eyes and whatever, according to records. And the guy picked up his bang bang on the nightstand next to his bed. And, yeah, he said, well, I just meant to basically wing him. But he moved at the last second, and, he's no longer with us. So, really sucks. Gentleman Chris Adams was a very talented guy in the ring. Great on the mic. Had a fantastic look. I think if he could have kept himself clean and kept his temper in check, he would have went way further. And a weird thing is he trained Steve Austin, and his first baby mama, who he never did get married to, they were only like live-in boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and they had a child together. They had a daughter. They broke up, and then Steve Austin, his star pupil, ended up getting with her later on in life. So weird how things go, but yeah, a lot of the episodes this season, or in season 5, because they're up to season 6 now. Some of them, like the first episode, the Ballad of Earthquake, I think. It was about John Tenta, Earthquake, and it was sad because he passed away at age, I think, 43. So he was really young when he got cancer and passed, but it wasn't like a dark story. He had like one incident that was not on him, because nobody has a bad word to say about John Tenta. He was, by all accounts, seems like he was an amazing human being. He married his wife when her son was still like really young, and he basically, like, the kid calls him dad now because he's like, only dad I ever knew. He took him in and treated him just like the next 2 kids that they had that were his blood kids. Great guy. Everybody loved him, and he got into a shoot with Koji Katao. Didn't last very long in Japan, because Katao got angry because they were all sumo. John Tenta was like he was going to be like a sumo grand champion, but he said he didn't like the lifestyle, and he ended up dropping out. Katao was a sumo champion, like I think he was the rank of Yokozuna, which, for those that don't know, that's like the top rank for sumo wrestlers. And he was like butthurt about having to lose to John Tenta in a wrestling match, in a pro wrestling match. So he lost to him the first time they wrestled, and then the next time he was going to lose to again, and he got mad, and he started like shoot fighting him, or like trying to. But John Tenta was a badass, so he fought him off, and when Katao tried to like gouge his eyes and whatever, Tenta was able to like smack him away, gave him some kicks, and Katao just like powdered out of the ring and started like throwing stuff, got on the mic, cut this scathing promo about how wrestling is fake and John Tenta sucks and whatever else. So he got fired and blackballed. But yeah, that's about the only like dark thing, other than him passing away, and then his run in WCW was less than ideal. John Tenta came out of the womb looking like a 40-year-old man, so he just kind of always looked that way. He always looked older than he was, because like as a kid watching him as Avalanche and Shark, and then eventually as John Tenta in WCW. I was thinking he was like, bottom side of his career in his 50s, something like that. At least Hogan's age. He was a young pup compared to Hulk Hogan, I believe. So kind of weird. But that wasn't much of a dark story. Buff and the Bagwells was the next one. I had no idea anything about Buff Bagwell's backstory. I knew a little bit about his relationship with his mom and whatever. That was a little dark at times, especially like, some bang bangs got involved between him and his dad. It's really weird. Like he like came out, his mom and dad were like in a fight, and his dad's like threatening his mom, and he comes out with with heat in his hand, I'll say. Again, I'm trying to dance around the YouTube censors here, but and tells his dad to back off, and his dad goes and gets his own heater, and it's on, and Buff almost like ventilates his dad. Well, I mean, he did hit him at one point with one of the flying objects. I hate not being able to say the real words, but YouTube and all that. Anyway, and the weird thing is they didn't speak for months, and then his dad calls him up and was like, "You know what, son? You almost ended my life, but you were totally in the right. I'm sorry." Like, what? And Buff was like, "I feel no remorse." Like, even if I was in the right, I'd still feel kind of bad. That is your dad and all, but whatever. I guess I'm different. The Terry Gordy story was really sad. If anybody doesn't know that one, go check it out. It's basically just a lot of substance abuse and gone too soon and all that. And the end of his life was pretty rough. His daughter looks like, dude, you put a wig on, like a blonde wig on Terry Gordy, you make him a little smaller, and bam, like his daughter's in the documentary a lot. But Brutus Beefcake. Man, Brutus the effin' Barber Beefcake. That one, I want to know if anybody's seen that episode. I really want to hear feedback from anybody. So, Brutus, like, something happened. He had a falling out with Hulk that involved his current wife. Spoke with Hulk. They were all, like, hanging out, and there was an exchange between Hulk and Brutus's current wife. And then, like, after that, Hulk told everybody, like, he won't say what happened, but he said, "Gotta write Brutus off, brother." And supposedly it has something to do with Brutus's wife. Brian Knobbs says... Brian Knobbs, I can't tell if he knows. Yes, Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys. I can't tell if he knows, because he just said no comment. But then he made it seem like I don't totally know. B. Brian Blair. Yes. Hulkster's got some, like, a weird entourage, bro. But anyway, B. Brian Blair was like, I don't really know what happened, And nobody that does know will say anything at all. It kind of amazed me they didn't get Jimmy Hart for that episode, because I figured Jimmy would have some Brutus stories, but I don't know. They had enough people in there. His current wife, like, she was in it too much. Like, she's recounting this stuff like, oh my God, this stuff happened to Brutus, like, 10 years before I met him, kind of deal. I'm like, I don't give a crap what she has to say about an accident, like the parasailing accident happened like 20 years before they got married. Meanwhile, she's like, oh man, she's like recounting the story like she was there. I'm like, I don't care what she has to say. Brian Blair was there, and he recounts it. And then there was somebody else that was there, that was talking about it. Like, obviously, the golden goose for that episode that has not participated in any of these, is Hulk Hogan. He would have been the best to interview for this, but, it is what it is. He's put over Brutus enough in his life, I guess. Dragged him along. Eric Bischoff, I've heard him on his podcast really open up about Brother Brutai. He held back. He held back a lot, so he could have really opened up on him, but he didn't. Uh, but yeah, he did recount a few things. Either way, it was a decent episode. All things considered. What was the other one? I'm so sorry. I'm like there's one after that I totally forget. The Life and Legend Harley Race. Okay, that was a good one. Got dark at times, mostly because of just he was a tough dude and did some crazy things. Chris Colt, that one was pretty dark. I knew pretty much nothing about Chris Colt, and I'm I'm going back and forth in my group chat with my buddies about Chris Colt and the things that were in this documentary. And if like out of context, it looks really bad. I think most group chats with guy friends are kind of like out of context. It looks really bad, but nothing offensive. It's just like, dude, what the f are you watching? Kind of things. And then yeah, the last episode, Chris Adams talked about it, and then Sensational Sherry is the one I'm on now. Next one is on like the Sandman from ECW, and then the last one is Black Saturday, which is Vince McMahon trying to take over. I think it was Georgia Championship Wrestling at the time, and that fell flat. So either way, that's Dark Side. I think we talked about that enough. Speaking of Dark Sides of the Ring, I teased it in the title of the episode, and I talked about it a bit. I finally watched The Iron Claw on Max from A24 Studios. For people that I'm sure everybody knows, it's about the Von Erichs and all that. I have a few notes about the movie, and then and a review for the movie, and then I wanted to talk about it with compared to like real life and how it went. So it was, first of all, it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It was emotional, and it's hard to say. It's weird to say you had fun with it because it's such an effed up subject. Like if anybody knows the Von Erich family, the worst part about it, and I was thinking about this while I'm watching, I'm like, anybody that doesn't know the story, like, oh, this is interesting. I kind of want to know about, triumph and tragedy and whatever of the Von Erich family. Like, you watch the movie, you're dropped into it for the first time, and it's like you start on the high note. I mean, Kevin kind of sets you up with it, or the narration of Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich sets you up, and he's like, says, talks about, oh, people say my family's cursed and whatever. So you kind of know what's coming, sort of. But any like normal person thinking normal movie, you're like, okay, so things get pretty bad, and then you're like, well, they're gonna get better, right? Nope, they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. Like things are just gonna consistently keep getting worse and going horribly for the Von Erich family. It's not gonna turn around. It's just bad. Like now, Von Erichs in like the 2000s, things are fine because the Von Erichs are literally just Kevin and his clan. And according to like the final, like at the end of the movie, how documentaries, they'll be like, they'll show you a black screen with writing. They'll be like, oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Kind of a final wrap up that they're not going to show you. Apparently, Kevin and his wife did buy a large ranch, which is there was their dream, and they had a bunch of kids, and then their kids had a butt ton of kids, and then like they literally all live on the ranch. They all have their own little homes on the ranch, and it's a big Von Erich clan all on the Kevin's ranch, whatever the hell it's called. Cool. I think it's awesome. That was like their dream, if the movie's to be believed. Like they wanted this big family ranch where Kevin's dream originally was all of his brothers would move onto it with their wives and have kids and etc. Well, that didn't happen, but obviously. But the movie itself was decently entertaining. There were a few things that were like, I feel was rushed. I feel like this movie, I don't know what the total runtime was. Total runtime of the Iron Claw. 2 hours, 12 minutes, and factor in about 12 minutes for credits at the end. So, say about a 2-hour movie. It really, to get a good hold of it, a good claw on it. Forget that. Forget I said that. Anyway, to get a good read on everything, it really needed to be around 3 hours, like a 3-hour runtime for this movie, because, like, one thing specifically I thought about, because I kept waiting for MJF plays Lance Von Erich. For people that don't know, he was not a real Von Erich. Lance, like, all the brothers were either dead or injured, and Kevin needed another Von Erich to team with. So, because, God bless him, he was a great wrestler. Kevin was not the most charismatic of the bunch. He was not the one that everybody was like, oh man, he's gonna do, big things. He was the oldest, but he was not the top, Like, David was the workhorse, Kerry was the body, and he had charisma. David had charisma too, but he was known as he was the in-ring guy. He was kind of like the total package. They wanted to make him NWA champion. Unfortunately, he passed away way too soon, and before that could happen. But they bring in this guy with blonde hair, and he's got a great look, and they're like, oh, he's a cousin. Because for those that don't know, Fritz used to team with a guy that was his kayfabe brother back when they were pretending to be the bad guys from WW2 back in the old days. It was Waldo Von Erich. And they said, oh, he's Waldo's son. And he's coming in to wrestle with his cousins. And they called him Lance, and nobody bought it. Everybody knew. They're like, he's not Waldo's son. Even if he was like the real Waldo, if it was his real son, they might have given him a little bit of leeway, but he wasn't. He wasn't related to the family at all. He was just some guy. But MJF plays him. You see him in a scene where it's like you blink and you miss it kind of thing. They just show him in the ring with Kevin on the apron. He wins. Kevin's looking forlorn, and he claps, and he's like, oh, yay, we won, whatever. And it's like a montage of, like, Kevin being depressed kind of thing. So, I don't, like, they don't spend any time on Lance. Which, I guess they were like, oh, in the grand scheme of things, or, it wasn't important. I guess so. It points towards the desperation of Fritz and the WCCW territory at the time, though. But yeah, so that part needed to be explored more. Really the desperation towards the end of WCCW as a whole, I feel like needed to be explored more. Because there was an angle where Fritz pretended to have a heart attack that actually won like most tasteless storyline of the year in Wrestling Observer. There was a lot. Just business crashing. They didn't cover at all their partnership with the AWA, where, and that was a pretty big deal, where Kerry fought against Jerry Lawler. We actually reviewed Super Clash on this podcast before. I want to say Super Clash 2, maybe 3, or it might have been 3. I don't remember. I think it was 2. Either way, it was one of them. It was a big show, lots of blood. Good. It was a good match, all in all. And we talk about how Kerry was. They put it over a little bit in the movie, but Kerry was not the brightest bulb in the drawer. I hate to speak ill of the dead, but it's not really a secret. And he was messing around with the blade that he was going to use to blade his forehead later. And he was either messing around with it or he forgot it was in his hand or something, and he accidentally sliced open his bicep backstage when he was like putting his robe on or trying to scratch himself or something. and he like sliced his bicep open, and Jerry Lawler was like, oh my God. So now you'll see him work the arm in the match to explain why Kerry's bleeding out of the arm now. So Lawler was a genius. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, but yeah. So that happened. Uh, they don't. I'll get to the speculations and different stuff later. The film, I feel like, other than that, where they brush over a few things, and I feel like some things were rushed. The film was very good. I would definitely say you should watch it. The casting, I thought, was excellent, except for two. One is not terrible. The other one is awful. The first one that's not terrible, but it's not great, was Zac Efron as Kevin. Was okay. But I feel like it's, no offense to Kevin, but I feel like he's flattering Kevin Von Erich, like, by playing him. Because Kevin was always ripped, and he was always in shape, but man, Zach was freaking jacked. And, like, tan, like, Hulk Hogan, Starrcade, main event kind of tan. You know what I'm saying? Like, Zach was just buff, ripped, chiseled, tan, like, and Kevin, he put Kevin to shame on his best day. And Kevin was always in great shape and always, looking good that way. But other than that, it wasn't terrible. The one that was terrible was Ric Flair. Everyone else, I was like, man, even Harley Race, like the guy they got to play Harley Race, I'm like, where are you going to find a guy that even kind of looks like him? They did. He did well. All of the casting was really good. Then you get to Ric Flair, and it's like, what the? Why? Why this guy of all people? Why this guy? Like nobody else. I would have. He probably wouldn't have done it. But my first thought was like Bradley Cooper maybe could have done it. I can't think of anybody else because me and my friends were trying to brainstorm about it. We couldn't think of any other actor that could accurately portray Ric Flair, because you got to not only look like him, but you got to wrestle. He didn't do a lot. Like most of the time when they showed wrestling matches, it was like on TV, and it was the real match, but from an angle where you only see him from the back. So they avoided showing the face, whatever, which was clever. But with Flair, he's got to do at least a couple of wrestling moves for the scene he was in. He's got to look good, but he's also got to talk. I feel like this guy didn't study Ric Flair for more than like 5 minutes. He's like, okay, show me a promo of Ric Flair. They show it to him. He's like, got it. Boom. And then he just walks out there with his stupid blonde wig. Like, ugh. No. Bad casting. Getting to the real stuff here, though, comparing it to reality. So they completely left off a sixth brother, which was Chris. People pointed that out right away. According to them, it was because things were so dark. You don't want to have a third brother ending his own life, which did, because Mike did, Chris did, and then Kerry did. Kerry was the third and final, ending of his own life of the brothers. And yeah, I get that, but you're just going to pretend like Chris Von Erich didn't even exist? And what made his story so much worse was Chris had such, he had health problems from the beginning, and he really wanted to be a wrestler like his brothers. I think if Fritz in real life was like the Fritz in the movie, Fritz probably pushed him from birth. It was like, you're going to be a wrestler, damn it. And Chris was like, yeah, I want to wrestle with my brothers. I want to get out there. I'm going to be, and I'm a Von Erich, damn it. That's what I got to do. But he had health problems, and he had to take a certain medicine that kind of made him physically weaker. and because of that, he would get injured doing just like basic stuff. The move they gave Mike, in the movie The Iron Claw, Mike's injury, like the shoulder injury, is accurate. How he got it is not accurate. In reality, he gets a shoulder injury over in, oddly enough, WCCW was huge in Israel, so they would frequently fly to Israel and put on shows. Don't know why. This Texas promotion with the most honky redneck white boys you'd ever seen is super popular with Israel, with Israelis. So, but either way, they flew over there a lot, and he did get injured. I couldn't find the exact cause of the shoulder injury, but he got his shoulder injury over there. And then during the surgery, he did go into like a coma or whatever, and he got toxic shock syndrome out of it, and it just ruined him. Which, you know, I had got roasted on a previous podcast because I had said he had a stroke. He didn't have a stroke. He got toxic shock syndrome, but the effects were similar. His motor skills were blown, like just crapped out, because it was like a lack of oxygen getting to his brain, basically. But he never recovered from it, and it messed him up. And you could tell, like, on the mic, in the ring, he wasn't great to begin with, but especially after that, he was like, that ruined him. It was sad. But that's why he eventually, like, he couldn't handle it anymore. They left this part out. They make it seem like just one day he's like, F it, and he downs a bunch of pills, drinks a beer, goes out and, with a gun and, does what he does to himself. But in reality, he had apparently tried this multiple times. Was not on any kind of watch, by the way, which was weird. But, yeah, it was multiple times he'd tried this. And that, which makes it even darker and sadder. But, either way, sorry, I'm just checking on the status of the stream here. Going well. All right, anyway. Yeah, so Mike, like I said, Mike never recovered, unfortunately. And he succeeded in taking his own life. But in the movie, he goes for a drop kick and lands weird on his shoulder and destroys his shoulder and whatever. In reality, that was Chris went for a drop kick, came down weird on his arm and snapped his arm. And it was just like basic stuff like that. Apparently, he had injured himself multiple times with just like basic moves because his bones were pretty brittle and he just wasn't athletically gifted like that. But he kept trying and trying, and that kind of depressed him to the point of where he took his own life. But they left that out of the movie because they said, it's a little too dark. Like, okay, like, everything in this movie is dark, man. Just go for the gold at this point. Like, this story's been told over and over. If you're going to do a movie about the Von Erichs, just throw it in there. Because I do think that's kind of, I hesitate to say dishonoring anything, but it's just, you're just pretending like this guy never existed, so it kind of sucks. But yeah, and they're not going to show, I don't mind them not going into detail about Jack Jr. and how he passed away. Jack Jr. was the oldest boy that he passed when he was like he might have been 5, maybe. But I think he was outside, and they lived in a trailer, and he got electrocuted with something from on the trailer hitch, I think, if I remember the story correctly. And then he, like, that didn't end him. He, like, went face down in a rain puddle and drowned. So extremely weird circumstances. But that started it all. And then Kevin was the next oldest, and since Jack Jr. was gone, he was now the oldest. And the stuff with Kerry, they rushed a lot because Kerry really was a bona fide star. There was a lot about his journey that they really brushed over. And they made it seem like he won the NWA title from Ric Flair at the David Von Erich Memorial. And then that night, he hopped on his motorcycle, intoxicated, got into a wreck, and lost his foot. It's not the chain of events. Like, if you don't know the reality, that's what you're thinking. Um, it was much later on he got into that wreck, and yeah, it did mess him up. And the amount of time he was out of the ring, though, was actually not that long. He he got back in fairly quickly, if I remember correctly. Um, and yeah, I guess he was in constant pain. I get that. There are a lot of rumors surrounding the foot situation too. There's an old Texas rumor apparently where um, he had his they hadn't amputated the foot. They it was like an ankle thing originally, and the ankle was destroyed. And they did surgery. He's laid up, and he's doped up on a bunch of whatever from the hospital. He smelled a cheeseburger or food of some kind down the hall, and he was so doped up he didn't think about my foot, and he got out of bed and totally destroyed what they had done during surgery. Again, that's a big rumor I heard from a Texan, by the way. So I don't know if it's true. It could just be hearsay. I mean, it literally is hearsay because I can't prove anything. Nobody can. But yeah, that's the rumor. Uh, most of the stuff they showed seemed fairly accurate. I did not know about Fritz inviting Jerry Jarrett onto his ranch to threaten him against purchasing WCCW. Or I think at that time it was the UCWA or UWCA or something. I don't remember. But anyway. Yeah, I guess he warned him against that. Or not warned him, but threatened him. According to the film. Another thing they brush over, or they just didn't, not necessarily brushed over, but they didn't cover, is Fritz at the end of his life was losing it. I think he got dementia or something real bad. And he handed, and this was after, all three of the other boys had done what they did and ended their lives. And Fritz handed a pew-pew to Kevin when they were in an argument. And he's like, if you were a man like your brothers, you'd do it too. And Kevin was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, Dad. So, I don't know. It's sad. They did. I also don't know if that one part happened where Kevin showed up at the ranch just as Kerry ended his life. I don't think that happened. And then he sees Fritz. Fritz basically blames Kevin for it, and Kevin almost chokes him, chokes the life out of him. I don't know if that happened. I don't know if that's accurate. I do know there was a lot of tensions there. If everything in the movie, if everything between the parents and the kids was accurate in the movie, they were terrible parents, the mom and the dad. Because every time they're like, hey, I need to talk to you, they'd be like, nah, that's what your brother's for. Go talk to your brothers. I don't want to talk to you. Like, what kind of parent does that? Ever. It's nuts. And there was even one point where, because Fritz wanted Mike to be a wrestler, and Mike wasn't really feeling it. And Mike wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to be a musician, whatever. And Fritz is like, no, you're going to get in the ring. You're going to be a wrestler. You're going to join your brothers. Time to just do it, And he's forcing him, and everything Mike did, he would get on him and be rough on him. And supposedly, Kevin goes to his mom, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. Dad's just really rough on Mike. And she said, look, you boys need to handle it amongst yourselves. I'm not getting involved. Like, oh my God. I don't know if this is real. If so, that explains why your sons all did what they did. David, this is a speculation thing that I wanted to talk about. So David, they show, was throwing up blood and whatever at Kevin's wedding. Don't know if that's accurate. But they make it seem like he'd been sick for a while, and he still flew to Japan, and he got a ruptured intestine and passed away in his hotel room. That's kind of the official story. There's also a lot of speculation that Fritz covered up that, like, Fritz worked with others to cover up the fact that he actually OD'd. I don't know. I can't say for sure. Maybe not. I hope not. I mean, either way is bad, but, doing that to yourself is probably worse, I'm going to say. So I really hope he did not do that to himself, but yeah, I don't know. But there's just a lot in the movie that's it's mostly good. Like I said, they just brush over the Lance thing. They brush over the desperation of WCCW towards the end, and I don't think it did. Excuse me. I don't think it did any good for or any favors for the film, because there's more interesting story. You could have honestly made two movies out of all of it. It was so crazy, but it is a very interesting story. I'm not shocked that it's been the subject, like the Von Erichs have been the subject of so much of this, like documentaries and the movie. It's crazy. Some people had said, "Oh, they didn't show them getting inducted to the Hall of Fame or whatever." Like, they mentioned it at the end. Yeah, I don't know. So I wanted to get into some of these releases here. I'm trying to pull up some information. Come on now. What is going on? Man, my, sorry, things, whoa. Things are not cooperating. Really weird. Okay, cancel. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. But quite a few people have been released from WWE. Some of these names, I don't really watch NXT, so I've heard of some of them, don't know all of them. Danny Palmer, I talked about her at one point because she wasn't released. She quit. Said she's retiring because she just has a lot of health issues, or injury issues, whatever. So I respect that. She's gonna go do something else. You don't want to be in a wheelchair by the time you're 40. You know what I mean? So I get it. Well, here from Wrestling Observer 32 minutes ago, a judge approves Janelle Grant's request to amend a lawsuit against Vince McMahon. Okay. John Cena is already doing Peacemaker, like, promotion. Cool. Oh, God. El Grande Americano is the Speed champion. Yikes. I'm just checking to see if there are any brand new releases. I'm not seeing any. Elijah, aka Elias, or I guess formerly known as Elias, came back to NXT recently. He's not like back, but he's on the TNA roster. So, man, okay, I'm not having any, because there was like a full list of names here. I can't find them anymore. It's crazy town. Here we go. Okay, so here's all the people that have gone so far that I've seen. You got Braun Strowman, Shayna Baszler, Dakota Kai, Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, Riley Osborne, Oro Mensa, Jakara Jackson, Javier Bernal, Eddie Thorpe, and Danny Palmer. As I mentioned, Danny Palmer left on her own accord. Shotzi is also gone. Or, well, she's not gone yet. I guess they let her know they're not renewing her contract. So, there's been this big thing lately where people are they're having this gripe. This isn't Shotzi, but they're having this gripe about, oh my god, they released so many like LGBT wrestlers. Okay, I'm sure they don't have them on a list. Like they're like, okay, where's that list? Who's gay? Like, give them their pink slip. They're out of here. It's so nuts, and they act like that's a thing. Crazy town. But I don't know, man. This list is a bunch of like nothing burgers for the most part. Dakota Kai, I'm a little shocked about. Shayna Baszler, I'm a little shocked about. Braun Strowman, so. I will say Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan are the two that I was in NXT. I was like, oh, wow, because they have used Cora Jade a lot. They have used Gigi Dolan off and on quite a bit. So, a little shocking. Didn't expect to see that. Joe and Mark Coffey, excuse me, Joe and Mark Coffey of Gallus, I think they could go off. All of Gallus could go off to TNA and have themselves quite a good career. They could go to AEW even. I think AEW would be a good spot for them even. But yeah, I don't know. The other thing, besides the whining and the crying, because let me tell you, you're not allowed to release somebody if they're not straight. Okay, if they're not straight or white, you can't release them. Okay, a straight white man. But if you're a woman, because that's another thing, this list has a lot of females on it. So of course it's the Triple H hates women. Triple H hates non-straight people. Triple H hates African American people. That has been going on forever. Oh my God, not enough black people are on this card. Oh my God, not enough women are on this card. Oh my God, not enough gay people are on this card. Like, dude, give it a break, man. Give it a break. Not everybody's a victim here, okay? Sometimes you're just booked because they have something for you. Sometimes they just don't have something for you. It is what it is, man. Cry about it. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so it's the narrative starting already. They've been going on about why, but this is my absolute effing favorite. So when they're like, oh, I've seen this comment so many times, variations of it, where they're like, when a multi-million-dollar company says they need to do budget cuts and they fire all these people, that really makes me sick. Like, do you not know how business works? You absolute loser, sitting on your couch, farting into your couch right now, complaining that WWE made business decisions. You're the same ones that will cry, oh my God, WWE isn't using these people. And then when they cut them loose to go work elsewhere, you cry about it some more. My God, what do you want? They have to be employed by WWE, and they have to be booked. But if these ones are booked, then other people won't be booked, and you'll cry about that. So wrestling fans are literally the worst people. Just the worst. And then the business aspect of it. Oh, how do you think they become a multi-million-dollar company, huh? How do you think they pay their other employees? How do you think that they keep getting bigger and better? How do you think they can do things like buying AAA and stuff like that? Pursuing newer, bigger, better things. How do you think they do that? Budget cuts. Business people across the planet They look at their they look at their but their whatever their expenses going out at the end of a quarter. Like WWE does it like twice a year usually, but the biggest one is like right after WrestleMania is the big one usually. Uh, but most companies, all companies, will look at their stuff at the end of a quarter or twice a year or something, and they'll go, okay, where can we cut the fat? Where is money going out that we really don't need that money to go out anymore? And you cut it. That's what business is. That's what you do in business to stay profitable. You keep making money. There might be other talent they're looking to get out there. And to get them, you need cap room. You need a bigger budget than what you currently have. So you cut the ones you're not going to use. And like these ones, people crying about Shotzi not getting used properly. Okay, she hasn't been used properly ever by WWE. All right, other than throwing her in some, as the host of Halloween Havoc once a year. Whoop-de-dip. Dakota Kai is hardly ever used properly. She's not used to her full potential. Braun Strowman hasn't been used in forever. And I know people don't like him, but whatever. He's still a big guy that can wrestle pretty well, and he's got a good look. There are others that got cut. They're perfectly good wrestlers, but they just didn't fit with what WWE had, or WWE just couldn't figure it out with them. Sometimes that happens, man. You go away, and you learn a new hold. Look at Cody. Cody got crap. He goes away. He comes back. Huge star. Drew McIntyre before him. I think Drew McIntyre was the first one I can think of off the top of my head that was just like being used like absolute dog crap. Goes away for a couple of years. Comes back. Boom. Huge star. Still a huge star. It happens, man. It's always happened. You don't have to go online and pretend like WWE's the devil, because they made a smart business decision. And after years of you crying that they're not using your favorites properly, they cut them loose to go elsewhere and earn a paycheck. Tony Khan's licking his chops right now. Whoever the F is running TNA is licking their chops right now. There's also New Japan. They can go there and grow over there. There's any number of places to go. It's not like we're hurting for new wrestling organizations, okay? Like they can go make money. It's fine. Trust me. And some of these people might be, I'm sure they're all upset that they lost their job. Okay, I'm not saying they're not. But most of these people, I'm sure, like, okay, I took 24 hours to mourn. Now I'm thinking about what's next. Matt Cardona even said something about that. He's like, you can either wallow in self-pity and do nothing. You can coast off your WWE name until people stop caring. Or you can reinvent yourself and make some money like he did. He doesn't, I'm sure he wants to come back to WWE, but he doesn't, at this point, it doesn't seem like he needs to come back to WWE. He's taking his own bookings, doing whatever the F he wants, and having fun on the indies. I mean, cool. Living the life, man. Good for you. And he's better than ever right now. I don't like all the stuff he's doing, but it's good crap, and he's drawing money. As long as he draws money, that's all that matters, right? In the wrestling business. That's all I got to say about that. All right. The last thing I wanted to touch on. Speaking of business decisions, I mentioned this when I was going on my rant about WWE's business and all that. So I'm sure everybody saw they bought AAA recently. AAA. A little bit weird. There's some confusion about, so are they their own independent thing still, but just under the WWE banner? Or is it going to be more like NXT, but NXT Mexico, basically? Nobody knows at this point. nobody truly knows what the hell is going on. There might be one or two people, but all in all, I think nobody really understands what the hell is going on to you know, like fully about like who works for who. I mean, I guess everybody works for WWE, kinda. But it's like, does AAA get to decide who they hire and fire, or is that all up to WWE? I don't know. What happens to the Peñas? Do they still run it? Kinda, but, you know, under Triple H's direction? Who knows? I'm really confused about how all that's going to work. It's kind of cool that people like Rey Mysterio and Penta and Rey Fenix and who else am I thinking of? I keep wanting to call him Yo del Fantasma. Crap. What's his freaking name? Escobar. Somebody help me out here. Santos Escobar. God, it took me forever to get around to his real name. Santos Escobar. People like that. Andrade. They can go work AAA for a little bit. I'm sure they'd love it. I would lose my crap if they sent El Grande de Luchador or whatever, if they sent him down there. Or El Grande de Americano, sorry. If they sent El Grande de Americano down there, oh my God. I would, that would be great. Dude, do you know how much heat he would get? Oh, the Mexican crowd would hate him. Just eat him alive. And it would be awesome. But yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of potential with the partnership, or not necessarily partnership because WWE owns them, but cool stuff to come out of there. They probably will use AAA as kind of a feeding ground in a way. It's like if there's somebody who they feel like we want to call him up, but he's too green, or maybe we need to send one of our guys down there to teach him our style kind of deal, you know, and he's not on American TV. You get to rework him a little bit, and then boom, he comes up here, you know. But then you get ones like their current contract issues going on. Everybody was like, oh my God, WWE re-signed Alberto Del Rio. Not really. WWE inherited his contract from AAA because he is under AAA contract, and he is the current Mega Champion, which is their like top champion, I guess. But they did not re-sign Alberto Del Rio. I guarantee he'll never be back on WWE television. He's clearly still a turd of a human. He just got, like, I just reported on it a few weeks ago, where he got banned from Tijuana or he got suspended from Tijuana for like 100 days or some crap for getting into a fight with some guy in the crowd, and he chucked a chair and it hit an old woman or something. Oh my God. Over something stupid. They were throwing coins at him in the crowd, which, for anybody that doesn't know lucha, if they throw pesos at you, pesos are coins, by the way, if they throw pesos at you in the ring, it's yeah, it could hurt, I'm sure. It's not the safest, but it's actually a compliment, because they're saying your money. You draw money, so we're giving you a tip, basically. And the wrestler usually scoops it up at the end of the night like a tip, and they take it. And Alberto knows this. Alberto he grew up, like, his wrestling career started in Mexico. He started under a mask. He was Dos Caras. It was Dos Caras Jr. So his dad was a luchador under a mask. He was a luchador under a mask, and then he became Alberto Del Rio in America. He wrestled in Mexico for a long time. At this point, he's wrestled in Mexico way longer than he ever wrestled in America. He knows the culture and the customs, and he got angry about this, and he started to fight for no reason with some dude in the front row, and it led to chair throwing and a woman getting injured. So, whatever. He's a douche, and they should never bring him back. Ever. Literally ever. I liked Alberto for a while in the ring, but, oh, man, he went downhill quick, man. And he started, like, challenging the New Day to come fight him at his bar for real for no discernible reason. He had all of his crap going on with Paige / Saraya, whatever you want to call her. And it's just a lot of stuff. Arrests and everything. So, yeah, I don't think WWE will welcome him back with open arms. I will say it would be cool to see La Parca or LA Park, whatever the hell, him and his sons. He has like 2 or 3 sons. If they could all come up to WWE, that'd be cool. Or at least his sons, you know. Because I think one is El Hijo del LA Park, and the other one's LA Park Jr., I believe. So, which, for those that don't know, LA Park Jr., obviously, like, that doesn't need explaining, but El Hijo del LA Park, that's another one where, like, if you're the son of or grandson of a luchador, like Rey Mysterio got Rey Mysterio Jr. from his uncle, but then years later, his uncle had an actual son, and he got into wrestling. So, but Rey Mysterio Jr. was already taken, so he became El Hijo del Rey Mysterio, which just means the son of Rey Mysterio. So they do that all the time. There's El Hijo del Santo, which is, he's the son of El Santo, obviously. But then they have other ones like Blue Demon Jr. Like, I don't understand, like, how they decide that unless somebody got Junior first. So I think that's literally why they did it with LA Park, because he has multiple sons. So, and the oldest one got Junior. Either way, that's a side rant. But talking about all this to basically mention, they have, WWE has a talent exchange program now with TNA. They don't necessarily have a talent exchange program with Noah, but I don't totally know what WWE is getting out of Pro Wrestling Noah, is my thing. Because they have sent talent over there. They sent Shinsuke Nakamura over there, and I want to say 1 or 2 others they sent over there. Definitely Shinsuke. That's the one I know. But as far as I know, Noah has not reciprocated. Not that we would know anybody from Noah, but still, you could train them up, to be, get them a name in WWE somehow. I don't totally know if they have a partnership with, I think it's called Marigold, which is where it's the guy who used to run Stardom, which is like the big female wrestling promotion over in Japan. He broke off and made a new all-ladies promotion called Marigold, and that's where Julia was, because she followed him. I'm blanking on the guy's name now, but she followed him because she was loyal to him, and she wrestled in Marigold for a little while before coming to NXT. And so I think WWE may have a partnership kind of with them, and then they obviously bought AAA. NXT is out there. It's obviously a WWE brand, but it's still like NXT is not the main roster. They kind of keep the NXT show separate for the most part, but there is some exchange back and forth. My point of all this is to say, is just kind of to ask, is WWE becoming the new NWA? Like, you've got AEW out here all on its lonesome. Yeah, the do they still work with CMLL? I know they did for a while. They used to work with CMLL. They might still. And then they did stuff with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is obviously the big dog in Japan. I don't. I assume they're still doing work with New Japan. Either way, they do a little bit, but AEW is kind of its own thing. And I forgot about Progress. I think WWE does stuff with Progress, which is over in England. So they've got their tentacles like all over. Like WWE has people from all over the place, or like promotions all over the place. They've been doing stuff with Bloodsport, which is under the GCW banner, but it's not like they're having people show up randomly at GCW shows. You know what I mean? So Bloodsport is a little bit more serious. So far they've only sent women in, as far as I know. They sent in Shayna Baszler last year, and then this year they sent in Natalia, and she's going by Natty Neidhart there, her actual name. But they're kind of spreading all over, and they're almost doing like what the NWA used to do. Oh, the champ is coming to town, but WWE's not necessarily doing that. They're not like sending Roman Reigns in to wrestle the top guy in GCW or something. But their talent is like they have the WWE name on it. Like WWE is a big deal. Whether the people on Twitter or X, whatever, can cry about it all they want and pretend like it's not. But WWE as a brand is the wrestling brand across the world. And you can, it's not wrestling, it's sports entertainment. Like, shut up. It's the top wrestling brand in the world, bar none. Like, you can say AEW's right there. AEW's a very distant second. Very distant. To pretend like it's not is stupid. It's not catching up anytime soon. People are just, like, the public consciousness is not totally there with AEW. And it's not going to be anytime soon. Regardless, my dog is being gross. Anyway, so WWE they send anybody out there. It can't just be Joe Blow, jobber, whatever. But if they send somebody like Natalia, a legend, they send her out there, and they're like, okay, she's good. She's got a name to herself. And she's got the WWE label slapped on her. That's a big deal coming into Bloodsport. And she knocked that opportunity out of the park. I have not cared about Natalia for well over a decade. She's great. It's unfortunate because she's great. But who cares? She's not... like, she gets pops here and there, but nobody's like, oh my God, it's Natalia. You know? She's got her little fan base, but that's it. And she's over in Canada, I guess. Who cares? But yeah, they can send, and they're basically using TNA right now, where they're like, let's get our NXT guys some work with other people over there. I think some of it is scouting, is actually scouting TNA talent, because they're like, we can send our TNA guy, or our NXT guys in, or girls, to wrestle the TNA guys or girls, and we'll test them. Like, they knew right away they wanted Jordynne Grace, so that one didn't really take long, but they got her some reps with some WWE and NXT talents before they were like, yeah, let's pull the trigger and just sign her. And they seem to be doing that with Moose, where he was taking on Obafemi, excuse me. And I think TNA is basically like their breeding ground, sort of outside of NXT, where it's more experienced people than you would get in an NXT. They're not homegrown WWE talents, but you can kind of like pick from them, and there are certain people that will never come to WWE again. They're just not made for that. But they could still have a program with somebody from NXT, and it's kind of it's a scratch your back, I'll scratch mine kind of situation. TNA is like, yeah, sure, you can rate our talent here and there. At the same time, you better be sending in your talent for, to make our guys look good and to put us over. Sure. They do that with Progress. I'm sure it'll happen in AAA. Noah, I think Shinsuke lost. I can't remember who the hell he faced. No, it wasn't Great Muta. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I think Shinsuke lost. So he went over there to put the guy over. But it's just, the WWE name means a lot, and it gets these people noticed because, yeah, Shinsuke was trending, but then you're like, oh, who's he facing? Like, obviously, I forgot. It's been a while, but it could get eyeballs. And they, like I said, I don't know if they're doing that with Marigold or not, but if they do, it'll be kind of the same effect. And it's a way for WWE to kind of shuffle people around, and it opens up possibilities. I mean, look at Indy Hartwell got released last year by WWE. She worked out, took some time off. I think she worked the Indies for a bit. Now she's in TNA, and she's back on TV. And she'll probably be working with NXT talent again. So, she's kind of somewhat, sort of working with WWE still, but just they're not paying her, So I think all this is cool. I've wanted a new sort of NWA system for a while, but it is, but it isn't, because there's not a committee. There's not there's never going to be let's bring in so and so from TNA. He should be the next champ, But it is a lot of WWE. On one hand, they can pick the best talent they want from these other places, and you can talk, trash about that all you want and say, oh, that's what Vince did to the territories and whatever. Okay. But at the same time, like this crop of people who just got released, bringing it around full circle. They have partnerships with, WWE's like, look, you're not going to work here anymore. But, so-and-so said they want to hire you. WWE has their tentacles into all this. Or you can get outside of their system and go work for AEW, work for New Japan, work for CMLL, whatever. Lots of possibilities in the future. So I think, in a way, I think this is the closest we're ever going to get to a National Wrestling Alliance ever again. But WWE is the big dog in all of it, and it's kind of like a lower tier system, I think. But it's cool. It's cool to see the TNA champ at WrestleMania. It would be nice to see AJ Styles go back to TNA one more time before he retires. I know everybody's talking about that, but it would be, because that's, you think AJ Styles, you think TNA, you think TNA, you think AJ Styles. So, but anyway, I think that's all I got for today. I'm going to try. I did have a question for everybody before I go. Speaking of AEW, I wanted to watch All In 2023 and 2024. I never watched either one of them in full. I'd seen matches, but I never saw the full event. So I wanted to go back and I wanted to watch them. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I have Max. So I'm like, okay, they have all the archives. Well, kinda. The only pay-per-views that Max does not have from AEW is All In. Why? I'm going to check right now, live on the podcast. I'm going to double check, because that pissed me off. I'm like, of all things, why? I don't care about the basketball playoffs. My God, who cares? Who could possibly care? My buddies care, but yeah, never liked basketball. Here's, oh God, my cat just sneezed all over me, and then it's gonna get right in camera. Hi, baby. Okay, I can't find it right now. AEW on Max. All it's showing me is Collision and Dynamite. But I know for a fact, because I clicked on it the other day, They have, let's see. Well, I'll just type in AEW special events. Here we go. Okay. 2019. Let me go to 2023. They have Revolution. That's it. All they have is Revolution. 2024, Revolution, Dynasty, Double or Nothing. That's it. What is going on? Why? Why do they not have All In? Does anybody know? I'm really curious. Because I found the events in other ways, but I would honestly prefer to watch them on Max. It's better quality. Either way. Next week, I may or may not go live. I'm at least going to try my hardest because I'm moving here soon and things are just all kinds of crazy, very busy. But I'm going to try to do a podcast next week or the week after, a brand new one. I wanted to actually watch and review. I've seen it before, but it's been 6 years. I wanted to watch and review Double or Nothing 2019, which is on Max. And I wanted to do a good old-fashioned show review, like back in the day with Greg. So I'm going to check that out, make my notes, and I'll probably go live and see what you all have to say about the event and review it myself. Because it's been, like I said, 6 years, happened in May. So let's do it. All right, but thank you all for joining me today on this very first ever live episode of The Main Event Marks. It has been interesting. Thank you all for joining me. I am Troy. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell if you are on YouTube. Sorry, my computer's messing up here. If you're on Rumble, please follow the channel. That would be appreciated. And I'm going to post this in audio form. Subscribe if you're listening there, and go check out the archives. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you next time. Later.